Hey everybody, this is Brandon Scott, back with the next episode of the Fandom Pastor. If you've been with us before, welcome back. If this is your first time, hey, glad to have you. If you guessed the clue from the last time or even read the title, you know that the musical we're going to talk about today is Wicked, as you can see my Wicked poster up here. This is kind of a special show musical for me because this was the first one I ever saw on Broadway. On my wife and I's first trip to New York, we got to see this show. It was wonderful, loved it. Not only because it was a great show, but because I got to spend time with my wife. So, like every previous Fandom show we've talked about the different musicals. This one has different themes and ideas that we could possibly go with. Maybe we'll revisit, who knows. So, kind of a spoiler alert, maybe a spoiler alert, maybe not, I don't know. If you've not seen Wicked before, don't want to know the story, this is the time that you need to maybe wait, I don't know. But if you don't know, Wicked is told from the perspective of the witches of the land of Oz. And its plot begins before and after Dorothy Gale comes to Oz from Kansas. So the plot of The Wizard of Oz. So Wicked tells the story of these two pretty unlikely friends. Again, especially if you saw The Wizard of Oz, it's these two friends of Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, and Galinda, who eventually has her name changed to Glinda, who was the Good Witch. Now, these two friends struggle with some kind of opposing personalities and viewpoints, rivalry over the same love interest, reaction to the wizard's corrupt government, and ultimately Elphaba's public fall from grace. Now, one of the biggest issues is really dealing with Elphaba. So Elphaba is different. You find out where her green skin comes from and things like that in the story, the very beginning of it. But again, Elphaba has green skin. She stands out. She is different. She looks different. She feels different. She is, quote unquote, not normal. So she has this great desire to meet the Wizard of Oz, who has incredible power. Of course, if you remember Wizard of Oz, as you find out in Wicked, he has no real power. Now, here's the kind of the side note. Elphaba does. She actually has magic. She actually does have power. And so she has this great desire to meet the wizard, for them to connect, to be the best of friends, for him to take her on as an apprentice and show her even greater ability and magic and power. And through this connection that they have, that he'll fix her and make her skin no longer green, and then they'll make Oz even better and bigger and beautiful, more beautiful, and everything like that. Well, here's the thing though. Through this whole story, the whole timeline, Elphaba eventually learns to accept who she is. And she does a great job of kind of lining this out through probably the most famous song of Wicked, which is Defying Gravity. Now, I'm going to link the song below, but I want to reference some of the lines. I'm not going to sing it because I've said before, my singing sucks, so I don't do it. But she says, "Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing, too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes and leap. It's time to try defying gravity. I think I'll try defying gravity. And you can't pull me down. Can't I make you understand? I'm through accepting limits, 'cause someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know. So Alphabet is basically saying, I am who I am. I'm not going to change for anyone. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody on this land of Oz, I don't care what they say. I'm going to be who I am. And I'll be perfectly honest. I really identify with this because with the beginning of Alphabet, she's trying to be this people pleaser. And I honestly, sometimes I worry about what other people think of my decisions, what they think of me too. I struggle with that. I want to make people happy with me and my work. I want people to like me. And to be perfectly honest, I sometimes catch myself comparing my life to others. As a pastor, sometimes I look at other churches or other pastors and say, oh, wow, I wish I could be like them. I wish I could, do this or what have you. And it's easy to do, isn't it? It's easy to catch ourselves, well, not even catching ourselves. It's easy to compare our lives to others, our work to others. But when I stop and think about it, deep in my heart, I know that the truth of the matter really is, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to try to please everyone in this world. We can't do it. And we're going to kill ourselves if we try to. And we can't really compare ourselves to others either. Our goal of trying to please everyone is not going to work. We're not going to do it. Our goal should be pleasing God. That should be our biggest concern. And pleasing God can be really, really difficult in a world that is so often wrapped up into material things. Wrapped up in this life and in the here and the now. But as Christians, we're called to keep kind of this eternal perspective, this all-encompassing perspective, going beyond what's the here and the now. Jesus tells us in the gospel, truly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. So sometimes we have to just up and up pray, God, help me let go of my earthly concerns. Because I want to be free of them in heaven too. And we have to have this desire to bind ourselves in love with God and with others and for others. Luke 10:27 says, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And let's be honest, I know I'm not the only one, that so often when I hear this scripture, when I hear this, I focus on the part about loving the neighbor, our neighbor. And that's important, don't get me wrong. But today I want to instead focus on the idea of as yourself. Do you love yourself? Seriously, that's a legitimate question we should ask. Do you really love yourself? And here's put a different spin on it. Do you see yourself as God sees you? Because God does love you. Now, is there things He would want you to improve on? Sure. But does He love you? Yes. He loves you. We have been made in His image. And we should love who God made us to be. None of us are perfect. let's be honest, we're human. We're not perfect. Humans, by their very essence, are not perfect. They're screwed up. They're flawed. And we are human. But that doesn't mean that we should strive every day to become more and more of who God calls us to be, and to owe no one anything except love. I'm going to challenge you all. Spend time in prayer this week and ask God what He loves about you. Open your heart and allow yourself to receive His love. You know, it's always interesting when we talk about Broadway and musicals and things like that, theater, and people, sometimes they have a tendency to kind of look down on the theater kids because they're weird. I'll tell you the truth. The weird kids are the absolute best ones. The weird people are the best ones because they are who they are. And they connect with others. When they break out in song, it's awesome when somebody else will just jump in and start singing right along with them. The weird ones, the different ones, the ones who are who they are the ones who are already getting this idea. Let's strive for that. Let's strive for all of us to not conform, to be who God has called us to be. So, I ask you to join me again in a few weeks as we continue the Broadway study. Like I do every time, I'm going to give you a clue. This is a slightly older one. So I really hope you get it. I really, really hope you get it. Thank you, and God bless.